So, all right, we're going to get going in a minute.
All right.
All right, so today is March 3rd, 2022, and we are here with Thomas from, where are you from?
Vancouver, BC, in Canada.
What's your Instagram page?
Vancouver Brick Customs on Instagram and also Facebook. Don't post often on there, but it's also there if you need to see it.
Facebook's one of those platforms I used to use a little bit more, and it's just so hard to keep up with, so I just kind of go with Instagram.
Yep.
But you probably know Thomas's work. Not many pictures of Thomas's on his page, but you probably know his work of his 240 bricks.
That's right. Bricks Manado Bricks.
Yep. So you design all these 240s and stuff, and you do them for custom order and whatnot.
Yep.
So
they're all custom made. I got a small one here, which is kind of where it all started.
All right.
This
cool.
compared to this is obviously very different. I'll put on the hood there.
There's
Much
definitely
smaller.
a little bit of a difference in scale.
Yep. This just started out as a passion I did kind of for fun.
Mm-hmm.
About 2018, I had a bunch of friends who made cars at this scale, usually not Volvos, mostly like Nissan S chassis cars. So
Other 240s.
me, being a Volvo fan, decided to make Volvos, which nobody'd really done before.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for a few months. Eventually, some guy on Instagram reached out to me and asked me if I could build his V70.
Okay.
Which I'd never done before, and I never done anything for anybody else. And I originally told him that I don't really sell my models. I never really thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said he would pay me, so I'm like, I don't know, what do I have to lose?
Mm-hmm.
So made that for him, and then it just sort of went on from there.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
I never even thought about making like real cars out of Legos.
Nor did I.
I mean, I definitely like my Legos. For me growing up, I mean, I still hold it super high and on my list of cool stuff that is from when I'm younger. Lego Star Wars stuff was my jam, always will be.
Yeah.
But I never thought about making the real stuff, and honestly, I think it's really funny and kind of ironic that you picked the 240 because they're described as a brick.
Yeah.
So, kind of
Yeah.
works pretty good with, bricks and on top of bricks.
Yeah, for sure. Lego Star Wars is kind of where I got my start in Lego. I got the Millennium Falcon for Christmas, the smaller one, in like 2011 or so, and then it kind of grew from there. And then I had this friend who had all these Lego City like modular buildings, which are sort of like, I don't know, they have different ones. They have like a Palace Cinema or like a pet shop or a grocery store, and they're all sort of like this big or so.
Yeah.
And after seeing those, I really wanted them, so I made a Lego City. Which has roads and trains and buildings and whatnot. And then after that, I needed cars for my city, and I was just starting to get into cars when I was probably 13 or 14.
Okay.
So that's kind of how this started, because these sort of scale well to the city. So that's sort of the clincher in making the cars, and then eventually got into Volvos, and then the whole bit.
Yeah. It definitely, it makes sense of how it went like that. It works out really well.
Yeah.
But I can definitely picture the cities and whatnot, and the scale, it totally makes sense. I never realized how big a Lego culture was until I started seeing more on Instagram, because
That's crazy.
I think
can
it's
scroll
from
for
like
hours.
liking your stuff and whatnot. And it was like,
Yeah.
man, this is so much bigger than I ever thought it ever was.
Yeah.
Super cool. But I was thinking about something. I don't have Alzheimer's that I'm aware of, but
I guess you
anyway,
wouldn't know if you did.
maybe. But all right. So I have a question for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So far, out of your models that you've made, which one's your favorite one that you've made?
This one.
All right.
That's right behind me. I just made this. What day was it? Saturday and Sunday is when I assembled it. I'd made a lot of these for other people. And I finally decided that I wanted to make one of my own because I couldn't stand to keep shipping them out and then having none on my shelf. Because all these ones behind me are sets, right?
Yeah.
So this is sort of the holy grail of Volvos in my mind, so I put this together.
Yeah. Honestly, it looks like mine. I don't know if you've gone on my page or not, but I've got my 80.
Yeah, I saw one Volvo. I didn't realize it was yours, so it is
There's
the
an
same
83
color.
that's net red. It's like a metallic red. Didn't realize it was kind of like a rare color or a sought after color, because it wasn't the standard metallic blue and stuff like that.
Right.
and that honestly is pretty much my car. And mine's the US spec 240, so it's got
Yeah.
the quad squares or the
I really like the quad
rectangles.
squares.
I didn't like mine at first. I always liked the singular sealed beams, or really the plastic ones, because that's
Yeah, big
all I was
rectangle
familiar
ones.
with. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a classic
They're
look for a
classic.
240.
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it and the more I heard it, I was told I was told that the plastic ones will just haze with time, and
Yeah, they
the
do.
glass
They go
ones are
yellow.
better.
They're
Yeah,
so cheap. You can go on like Rock Auto or on the internet. You can get them for like $5 a piece. The sealed beams, like the glass ones, are Philips brand. I did them on my 740 over
Yeah.
the summer. Replaced
Does
the
it make a
high
big
beams and the low
difference?
beams. Yeah, it's incredible. They're so cheap.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess there's probably a lot of people that beat around in the old
Yeah.
Volvos. That's really just a means to an
Yeah.
end.
They're also super universal because American cars had those back in the day, so it's a wide
Okay.
market available for them.
Yeah. I always thought those were cool, and then when I got mine, I was like, I don't know how I feel about the quads.
Right.
They're kind of like, eh. But the more I've found more with Volvos and the millions of front ends they came with,
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's grown on me
It's
a
hard to keep
lot.
track of.
Yeah. I thought about swapping to E-codes at one point, but part of me kind of doesn't want to. Part of me
Right.
thinks it'd be kind of cool, but part of me is like, eh. I kind of like to keep it original because I'm not a purist, but I also like to keep things kind of relatively close to
Yeah.
stock.
I know what you mean. Hence why this is very stock looking. I
Mhm.
haven't modified it and I probably won't.
Yeah. I'd just say, I think I was introduced to your work from Sean from 245 Turbo,
Right.
and he said that he had ordered a model of his car, and it was the little small scale, the green one. I was like,
Yeah, he ordered the green one and then
this
the
big.
black one that he had.
yeah,
Both
he's-
wagons.
I think one's like a 91 or I don't know, something like that. This is his daily driver, and the other one's his 83. I saw
Yeah,
that
that
on
sounds about right.
Instagram, and it was so cool. I'm like, damn, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But I saw the large scale one you did for him. I think it was last month or so.
Right.
Or maybe
Such
he
a
got it last
beautiful
month.
color. It's so
Yeah.
rare in Lego form to see. It's called sand green.
Yeah.
It's a really rare color. They use it for Boba Fett a lot. They had a helmet bust set and then just the smaller minifigures. So to
Yeah.
see that much of that color in Lego form is really quite special for me. It's a great looking card too, so I'm happy to have been able to do it for him.
Yeah. I never really thought about the colors and how you get to source them.
Yeah, it's crazy. I get them all from a site called Bricklink.
Okay.
Sort of like eBay where there's like individual sellers and then they ship packages to your house and you can make a wanted list and then slowly source everything. And then I assemble them after that and then ship it out. So depending on the
Okay.
color, the price can vary like wildly. So
Mhm.
dark red versus say white, the dark red's like probably double the price.
Really?
But it looks really nice, which is why
Oh
I
yeah,
went
for
with it.
sure.
It's all based on availability because people buy sets, break them down like with all the pieces, and then put those onto their store. So since dark red isn't a very common
Oh.
color, it's
Yeah.
more expensive.
I never thought about how you do that. I didn't know if somebody pressed them or something, like molded them, or if you had to get them used. And it sounds like you
Yeah,
really
usually
have
it's
to
new
get 'em-
condition. Like they'll buy the set, open it up, like never touch them with hands
Yeah.
or whatever. They'll have gloves on, and then they put them right into the package and ship it to you.
Yeah. I never thought you'd have to buy the sets to break them down, but it makes entire sense.
Yeah. Some of the sellers have deals through Lego where they'll have like leftover pieces from a production run of a set, and then they'll sell them like bulk to a store. So in one guy will have like
Oh.
10,000 one plates, and then you can
Yeah.
buy as many as you need.
Okay. That's really cool. That's something I've just never known about, but it's
Yeah.
super. That seems like it would create for a challenge for when it comes to making things, because then you have to source stuff too.
Yeah. Luckily, it's pretty set up on Bricklink that's not too big of a hassle, but
Mhm.
I'll have packages show up to the front door for like all sorts of different builds, and luckily, based on the color of the pieces, you can kind of tell what it needs to go with, and I can organize it from there, but some
Yeah.
days are pretty hectic.
I bet. I don't know
Yeah.
how many pieces go into that, but it seems
Yeah,
like
each one's
most
around
of
like 2,000.
Okay, that's a lot.
for something like
That's
this. Yeah,
it's
it
a bit
is.
more than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So, my question, because you created these, I'm guessing you just do it by like freehanding, I guess, if you want to call it in terms
Yeah,
of
it's all up
drawing.
here.
where you're just kind of playing with it in person in a physical form and just kind of playing with it until you get the shape that you want.
Yeah, I used to do it in person with my like bare hands and Lego parts I had on hand because I've got a
Yeah.
pretty good selection of bricks. About
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, I started doing all the designing on my computer with another
Mm-hmm.
program. So you have
Okay.
as many pieces as you want in whatever color you want, and I can do the prototyping just with the keyboard and mouse, move
Really?
things around. Yeah, took a
Okay.
while to make the switch, but I kind of had to
Yeah.
design bigger things.
I was gonna say because you're making these Volvos
Yeah,
and you're making them over and over again, more than once.
yeah.
So my question would be, how do you, replicate it as close from time to time again? Do you create like your own instructions or like a blueprint?
Kind of. I'll have the digital model of all the pieces loaded up, and then you can push a button that auto generates instructions. But they're
Really?
like absolutely terrible,
Yeah.
like just barely usable, even for
It
me
gets you
when
like
I've
the
done it multiple
ballpark.
times. Yeah. So then I can
Okay.
assemble it from there. I've got a
That
bunch of
makes
different
sense.
files for like different front ends and different body styles or like different trim and
Mm-hmm.
sedan versus wagon versus coupe and whatnot. So I
Yeah.
can like splice the sections together and then recolor them to make a model. It's pretty
Okay.
complicated.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm not in that space, so I just don't know. So this is really interesting to listen to
Yeah.
for sure. I saw you had the front ends of the 240s that you're looking to sell. I think it's a set or
Hmm.
something.
Yeah, just different front ends just to put on your desk because these take up a lot of space. But if somebody just
Yeah.
wanted like the iconic grille and headlights slash
Hmm.
bumper of their car, then they could have that like as a little plaque on their desk.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm going with that.
That seems like a pretty good solution for sure.
Hmm.
And I'm guessing it's probably cost a bit more to have a full size
Yeah,
model
it
as
does.
opposed to the small ones.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good option for somebody that's not entirely able to
Mhm.
commit the full.
Yeah. I'm also working on developing a scale in between these two because I started off with the small ones, then went to
Yeah.
the big ones. And now I'm doing something in the middle of that for people if they want. And then that's where the
Okay.
V7R came in. I'm going to do that with the 240 as well.
Okay. Yeah. It's cool. I think it's really neat that you're able to mimic the
Mhm.
shapes of the cars and whatnot.
Yeah.
I feel like for me it'd be difficult to try to reproduce shapes of
Yeah.
cars because you're
It's
starting
pretty
with something.
frustrating.
Yeah, you're starting from something that's typically a bit more square because
Mhm.
it's modular, and you have to figure out how to create curves or as best as you can.
Right.
But that's really cool. Like you do an incredible job on it.
As far as the proportions go, not the
Mhm.
fine details and curves and specifics, but like wheelbase or like height or length, I
Yeah.
found online that you can get like blueprints for basically any car with measurements. So
Mhm.
everything's like scale factored off of the width of the car. All these are like 16 studs wide. This is like 4, just the Lego
Yeah.
bumps is a stud.
Yeah.
So all that's figured out. So once you get the width that you want, you can figure it out and then have all the measurements that you need, which gives you sort of the base and somewhere to start from.
Hmm.
And then you just sort of fill it in from there, which is easier said than done because it doesn't
Yeah.
show you how to do all the fine details that you have to do to get it
No.
right. But
Honestly, I'm like blown away with the details that I saw on Sean's because you have like, the little turbo inside of there. You have the caps for the reservoirs and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, this is intense.
that type of stuff's pretty fun. The like finest detail work or like
Mhm.
work on an interior and an engine bay. I really like the seats that they came up with for
Yeah.
the cars. They look very plush.
Hmm. It's really cool because those details seem to be like the parts of the model that really, really, really pull it together and really give it that edge. And to me, like it just makes it look super cool.
Yeah, it all adds up eventually because you
Oh,
could do
absolutely.
without some of that, but it makes
Mhm.
it that much more special.
Oh, definitely. I definitely appreciate the attention to the detail.
Hmm.
Me doing photography, I'm always paying attention to detail within my work, and I can definitely
Right.
see a similarity of how you're going about yours. So I feel like I'm a little partial to that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, but it's super cool. So you said what you have in the works for next is you're looking to go for a medium scale for a 240. Any plans for any other cars?
Yeah, probably. I really like older BMWs and Subarus, so I might go something with that route. I know they have
Like an
some
E30?
decent fan bases. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
E30 is probably my favorite. as
They're
far as
pretty
BMWs
cool.
go. Like E30 M3 at this scale would be awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool.
2002s, they're a little
Yeah, that
bit
too.
similar. I mean, but not,
Yeah, yeah.
more round.
The
That's
tricky
really
thing
neat.
is finding a compromise between doing what I want to do and what people are like willing to pay for. Because to put that much time into something that nobody wants is a bit of a struggle. So it kind of goes by what people order,
Yep.
which turns out to be a lot of Volvo people. But if I eventually shift, we'll see what
Yeah.
happens with that.
I hear ya. I do work like that all the time. I mean, it's bittersweet. It's like I have to follow that voice in my head for what really drives me to push the echelon of my work and
Right.
fulfills me. But sometimes it's like it's just weird stuff that other people might not care about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I sent you a picture of it. So one of the stupid projects I make, also kind of a detail-based thing, was I made a display case for my Hot Wheels because
That
I
sounds
like Hot
cool.
Wheels. So me being a photographer, I first thought, okay, I have all these Hot Wheels on my desk. I don't want them to be all dusty and gross. But
Mm-hmm.
I like to look at things a lot, so I like to throw things on display.
Right.
It's just, I love to just look at things. It's just, I found more and more with time, that's what I do all the time. Like, I'm like staring at things and
Yeah.
like admiring it. So
So do I.
so I had my Hot Wheels sitting on my desk and whatnot, and they get dirty, especially if they have like the open interiors.
Right.
Then you're kind of screwed with the dust, and it's like, dang it. So I've made frames and stuff before. There's only 3 on that wall that I made. Well, 4 actually. There's 2 right here,
Those look cool.
here. I made the frame here, but my girlfriend painted it and made it. I made this frame right here for a shirt. I made this license plate. This right here is an actual picture frame that I made.
Okay.
It's like a 16 by 24. So anyway, I can frame. I do a little bit of carpentry work. And I was
Awesome.
going to make a shelf that I could hang on the wall behind my computer. So I
Mhm.
could just kind of like string 5 of them at a 45 so you can see the details and then put a glass canopy on it. Because I also
Right.
cut glass too. So the idea was that, and then over the course of me working on it, it turned into a bigger project. The more I'm like, I could add this detail, maybe
Sounds
make it so
familiar.
much cooler. Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's just a rabbit hole of,
Yeah.
it's not a waste of time, but making it extra cool, even though I'm like the only one that has one.
Right.
So anyway, so something I was supposed to start off as like this, by this, turned into something that was like this,
right.
by this, by like this. So I just wanted to make a display case, and I'm like, wait, what if I integrate lights inside of it? So I'm like, I could, and I'm like, okay, how am I going to integrate the lights into this? What kind of form can I make them? I can just put strip lights up here. You'll see them. They're kind of ugly when you stare at strip LEDs sometimes.
Yeah. If you're looking right at the LEDs.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can make a soft box. Because I have soft boxes for my
It's
photography
escalating
work.
pretty quickly.
So then I'm like, you know what? They have large banks above cars for seamless shoots. So when you
Right.
have like a car studio, you have a huge canopy that's about 3 car lengths long by like a car length.
Yeah, I don't know
and a
where one
half
is. There's some in a
wide.
warehouse somewhere. I saw on it like
I need
the
one.
internet. Yeah.
But that's what it was. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I could do that. And I'm like, uh-oh. Now I can make the whole entire display case a seamless setup. So it just snowballed into this really. I think it's cool. At
Right.
the same time,
I'm
it's
excited to see it
stupid.
then, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll
sharing it
definitely
at
send you some
point.
pictures of it. But it was just such a stupid thing that I made for myself, and I feel like I could sell them.
Mhm.
Which the thing is it's got glass, and I don't want the
That's tricky to
USPS
ship.
to happen.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out how to do that, and I make a lot of things with my hands, and so I understand a little bit of
Yeah.
the creative process.
Hopefully these fingers don't wear out for a while. Get
Yeah.
arthritis in like 35.
I
Won't be able to build
understand
Lego
that.
anymore.
Yeah, that would be a bummer.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll send you a picture of that. It's super cool.
All right,
Should probably
sweet.
put it in my Instagram too.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the right time to do it because I've been modifying it because it kind of like with time it kind of starts to settle because it's wood.
Yeah.
I had to fix it a little bit, and now it seems like it's in its good state. Oh, also for the bank, stupid detail that only I care about that I think makes it better. So it has the overhead bank with the lights in it, so it's a softbox. I also put the FJ Westcott logo on it because it's my favorite lighting modifier company that I use. So I designed the sticker, and I also cut it out, and
Right.
I do a little bit of everything apparently.
I feel like that kind of thought process is what makes the world a better place, though.
Honestly.
People who don't really settle, and they want to keep improving and innovating on something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important.
Yeah. I could definitely see it with your work, with your Volvos. The fact that there's just so much detail to it. I mean, there's nobody telling you have to have that detail there except for yourself.
That's right. That's what kind of kills me is you always are looking to improve things. So I'll make a few tweaks every once in a while to one of the cars. And I've already shipped out like a bunch of them, and then I can't really go back and slightly adjust those.
I entirely understand that feeling. It is a terrible feeling. Man, you think the first generation's good, which it was good, but then you make the better version, and it's like, now the other one doesn't look like it lives up to the same standard as the new one. Yeah. But, you get better every day. I've told myself that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get better through every shoot that I'm doing. The next one's going to be better than the last. So, you know what? I can't kill myself over stressing about the detail on that one. It's just, it is what it is, unfortunately.
On the off chance that you feel it isn't better, you always learn something too, which is equally as important.
I don't know if you get this feeling. I've talked to one of my other photographer friends about it. When I work on stuff, like a lot of my work, my photography work, my good stuff, the stuff that I like a lot is composite work. So it's usually an array of photos that I blend together to create one scene.
Okay.
And I will work on some of those photos from like 4, and I think I've had some that were probably up to like 16 hours. 16 hours probably because I didn't know what to do as quickly. The more you learn, the more streamlined you can make the process. But I feel like there's a lot of images that are about 6 hours. I stare at an image for like 6 hours, and I study every single little spot on that image. Out of that 2400 by 3600 pixel base.
Oh, man.
Actually, no, it's 6014 pixel base. I'm just so acclimated. I know where stuff is. I get so tired of, like, I'll release it. I'll release the image, and then I'm like, that's an old photo. I gotta go make something else.
That's tricky.
And what's even better is when somebody points out a detail you never noticed. It's like, how did I not notice this?
Yeah. I got the turn signal slightly wrong on that video and like the pictures I posted of the LED Volvo.
Yeah.
Because that was sort of the prototype one they had made for somebody. And I'd changed it since then, but I forgot to update his. So all that content out there has the wrong turn signals.
You know
Stuff
what?
like that kills me.
That will be worth extra money for when you're famous and somebody's looking to, buy one. It'll be like, one of one, rare.
Has the wrong turn signals.
Yeah. It was a prototype, and that's a thing with die-casts for sure. Mm-hmm. But that's funny.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that the lights on your Volvos is the coolest thing ever.
I agree. I've got a friend who's really into electrical stuff, and it was sort of him that pushed me to do it. Mm-hmm. And I never didn't want to, but it's a lot of work. Like the two of us to put them in, it took 8 hours or something. And since we've done it once, it'll go a lot quicker the next time. Sure. But definitely quite the learning curve. But the result's really awesome. So it was all worth
you
it.
just plug it into the wall then, or you have a battery inside of it?
Yeah, it's like a little magnetic port, and you can put the little charger on there. It's just
it's magnetic.
Yeah, it's plugged into USB, so you can have it into like an iPhone block or a laptop or whatnot.
So you can disconnect it, and you won't even see it.
I can grab it in my closet, but it'll cut the feed by a minute once I grab it.
That is really cool. I think that was a detail I overlooked when I saw you posted that. I was thinking about it today. I'm like, I wonder if you could retract it and have a door that covers it. You already did it,
unfortunately,
10
you can't have
better.
the door that covers it.
Yeah,
but...
and it was by the gas tank, right?
Yeah, that's exactly in the right spot.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Kudos to you.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, if you want to go grab it, feel free to.
Okay.
The
other nice thing about it is that you can plug it into like a power bank. So if you wanted to have it anywhere, you basically can.
Yeah,
But I'll go grab it.
Sure.
All right.
26. So we're about 220 or 2720 about.
All right. So this is the Volvo with the lights. The only thing that sort of kills me is that these two bracket pieces that hold this in place are black. They don't have them in dark gray. But luckily the guy is really into Lego, so if they eventually make that part in the right color, he can swap them out.
Yeah. Okay.
So all it is
so cool
is this. It's got a little wireless charger on it. This is plugged into a USB down by my desk. So you just take it and then go like this, and then it lights it up.
That is so freaking cool. Holy crap.
Yeah. It's super bright too.
So
like this,
awesome.
If the lights are off, it lights up.
Yeah. Man, if you were a kid, that would be like the perfect night light. I swear.
Since they're LEDs, it doesn't take that much power either.
No. That is super cool. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Like,
I
am so impressed.
Underneath here in the chassis of the car.
Okay. That is really cool.
Then they go into the headlights. Each one is drilled and then hot glued, so you can see the wires there.
Okay.
And then the actual module that regulates the voltage is in the back here. I might build a little box for like some luggage so that it's not fully exposed, but it's kind of cool to see it in there.
Are you thinking about like luggage cases for like
travel?
Like
a big suitcase.
Okay,
and then you can just put
that's
that
a really good idea.
Yeah.
I thought about getting a vintage set of suitcases for mine to put on the roof just for sure.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Because I have the actual luggage rack, the factory optioned one. So
you totally should do that. That'd be awesome.
I'm thinking of like some like camel brownish tan just suitcases and just throw them on top of there.
Yeah, that look really good against the red.
Yeah, the interior on that one's it's the tan leather, but mine you don't even want to see the interior thing.
The leather falls apart in those cars.
Mine doesn't exist.
Just foam with some leather.
My driver's seat is pretty much just like that. The guy who had it last did not take good care of it. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But that's really cool with the lights though, and the fact that it's magnetic. It's like the iPhone chargers they had, or the MagSafe on the iMacs. I never thought about the option of magnets. That's perfect for that. I feel.
It's good stuff. It gets yanked. It doesn't like rip apart the sort of spot that holds it, or it won't take the entire car off the shelf if you trip on the wire. It'll just disconnect, right?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you're saying with lights, so LED lights are awesome that they're like so accessible. I don't do electrical at all, so I only play with strip lights right now because they're USB powered.
Right.
And I've made about 3 or 4, probably actually more like 4 or 5 projects for people for Christmas this year. For this Christmas, I made one for my girlfriend, I made one for her mom, I made one for my mom, and my dad. So I made 4. I did those all in the span of 2 weeks.
Oh man, it sounds like a lot of work. How'd you do it?
You do every single process all at the same time, and you move everything together as a group.
Right.
And they all graduate at the same time. That's what I found was like the best process for it. So I don't know if I showed you that or not. Did I tell you about my mirrors?
I don't think so.
Okay, so honestly, I think this is what I'm going to do on the side for when I'm not working at the post office. So this is only a piece of one. This one I have to assemble all the framework for. This is for a friend. I don't think he's going to see it before it's done. But if you can see that...
That's sweet. How did you etch that in there?
I sandblast it.
Oh. So it's like a template and then it sandblasts where template's missing?
Positive, negative.
I can see the Hot Wheels stuff now.
I'll put a light behind it if I can. So,
that's awesome.
So what I do is I make these mirrors that you can hang on the wall, and they're USB powered, so you can light them up, and it lights the design up. Why did I pull a calculator out? I pulled a calculator out. What the heck am I doing?
That won't have quite the same effect.
Hey, no, it won't have the same effect. Oh boy. Let's see. I haven't used my Galaxy in a while. Okay. Maybe you can see it now. Yeah.
Sweet.
So, that's actually, that'll lead me to my next question in a minute. But I went to school for graphic design and business. So, I learned to use Adobe, it would
Wow.
be Illustrator. So, I made this. This is based off of my friend's Andrew's car. This is actually his Instagram account. It's Light My Firebird.
Okay.
After the Hot Wheels. He got in an accident back in December and he shattered his pelvis. And I wanted to do something nice as a gift for him. And unfortunately, I've kind of dragged my butt on finishing it. It's just been so cold out and my tools aren't really accessible, so I haven't been able to assemble the frame.
Right.
But essentially what it is I'll frame it and I'll light it from behind, and you can actually change the colors because LEDs. And
That's so sick.
They're kind of cool. I'll have to send you a picture or a video of it. I've showed a few people it, so I'm going to start making those available for sale, I think probably in the next 2 months or so. They're pretty cool.
I might have to get one.
Yeah.
I don't know what up just yet, but it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I got that one designed. I made one for my dad, which is a 67 Firebird. And I have a Mark IV Supra that I have drafted. Actually, the whole entire thing's done. I just have to sandblast it. I actually made one for Sean. I made one. He can't hear about this yet. This is a secret.
Okay.
But
lips are sealed.
Yeah. So it's his license plate for his 240. I just really like his license plate. It fits his car, and I think
I don't even know what it is. I can't remember.
Okay, I'll show you. I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
So it fits the personality of his car, and it's perfect. I love it. It just works, and it's not his actual car, which I think is kind of cool that I'm able to make something that's related.
Right.
So he's got the old New York plates that have just a solid red shape of the Statue of Liberty on it.
That's cool.
And it just has New York in blue in the top of it, and it's just got a couple lines in the top and bottom. Super, super, super basic.
Right.
And it's before New York went to the ugly yellow ones, so they're cool. And his license plate reads 245 Brick, BRIK.
Perfect.
So I ended up drafting it on Illustrator, and I have this one. The only thing I have to do is create the frame, and I have to just sandblast it. I haven't been able to sandblast it yet because I had a problem with the one I did before. And it's about 24 inches by about 12 for the actual mirror. So
That's an awesome display piece.
The final dimensions will be about 13 by, I think, 25 and a half. So, and it's also made from 1/4-inch glass, so it's like the really nice thick stuff.
Right.
And believe it or not, it's actually recycled material I got on the side of the road.
What?
Yeah.
How?
People just get rid of bathroom mirrors. They just don't do anything with them.
Out the window. How did it not shatter? Or did they just place it gently?
They just on the side of the road.
Okay.
They'll just place it in front of their house next to their garbage for them to take it away. And I can't say that I did, but I might have taken a couple mirrors from the side of the road while I have delivered mail in the truck. It's kind of an
That's
awkward
a pretty good way of
thing.
doing things.
Yeah, I'll be like, well, I can come back after work, but I kind of don't feel like coming back, so I'll just open up the back door. I'm just taking your garbage away, don't mind me. But it's kind of cool because I recycle the material, and something that was a piece of crap is now actually something kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So I will definitely get on that. I have the 67 Firebird. I got the 69. I've got Sean's license plate. I actually do have stickers of it if you want me to grab them. I have one right on the side here that's stuck already. I will take a picture of it and I'll show you the picture on here.
All right.
So I have that. I got the Mark IV Supra, and I've got a 2nd gen Trans Am.
Awesome.
I need to do a 240 one at some point. An actual 240.
Cool. It'd be cool to one with the quad square headlights.
It would be. I've done a profile of the one for my dad, which really fits the mirror. His is about 24 by 12, so it's a large one.
Okay.
His is a large one. Honestly, that thing looks gorgeous. He hasn't even put it on the wall yet. It just lives in our living room for now. So I stare at him like, damn it. I kind of want it, to be honest.
One day.
I could always make myself another one. Okay, I'm not used to my old phone, but it's probably because I don't use it anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Is it hard to get mirrors if you don't find them somewhere? Like, where do you source your mirrors?
I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
I make my frames for my photos too, and I actually get my glass from old picture frames. I'll go to the thrift store and I'll find some butt ugly ones, and I'll just tear them apart and take the glass from it and just reuse it.
Right. It's a good way of doing things.
It works, and I think it's kind of cool because it's got that little bit of reuse, recycle, reduce. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the one I made for Sean.
That's sweet.
I just thought it was so...
What a nice plate. It's hard to believe that's like his actual license plate.
It is his actual license plate. Yeah. I took him from the pictures I took of his car when I did it when we went to Cooperstown.
Nice.
So I think he'll be pretty stoked when I give that to him too. But I have that. And yeah, that's about all I have for designs right now. I think I'm working on an R34 Skyline. I'm doing the taillights of that.
That'd be nice.
Or the rear end. I'll have that. I'm kind of trying to get like the popular tuning cars done because there's a large demand for those.
Yeah.
Like you were saying with your bricks, you kind of have to follow where people are interested. I feel like I need to do that. I mean, I also love all those cars too, so it's like it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, for sure.
But
or we want to make like an R32 Skyline at this scale because I love them a lot.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
I think so. Some cars are harder to capture than others. Not so much like really curvy cars or square cars, but the cars that are sort of in between that have like subtle curvature to them, that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, that would make sense. What was I going to say? Would you ever do an 850R?
Yeah, that's on my list of things to do.
Okay, cool.
I'm developing a V70R right now, and then right after that I'll be doing the 850R.
Okay, that's really cool. That would be a pretty cool car to own, or at least drive.
Yeah.
They sound so good.
I've driven an 850 and a V70R, but not an 850R. The V70R is probably closer to that.
Yeah. Front wheel drive too, or they're all wheel.
I think it's all wheel drive, but it's like 70-30.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, that actually brought up a question I was talking about earlier. So, gotta get rid of these notifications. But anyway, so have you any formal education of creative stuff? Did you just do this on your own?
I just kind of did this on my own. I don't have any education with creative stuff at the moment. My plan in the fall is to go into business, probably for something marketing related.
Okay.
But most of this is just sort of for fun that became something a bit bigger.
Sure. No, that's definitely cool. I went to school, like I told you, for graphic design and business. I went for business marketing. I went to a community college, so some of the classes were really good. Some of them were like, eh.
Right.
So I should ask, like, how old are you then?
18. I'll be 19 in April.
So you're just looking to college now, I guess?
Yeah.
Are we in the same, is the U.S. on the same pace, I guess, for age to grade type of ordeal as
Canada? Yeah, it is,
Canada?
I believe.
It's like 12 grades for like kindergarten through high school. Okay. So you're looking to go to college for marketing then?
Yeah, something like that. Or something business related. I just want to do something a bit bigger. I love doing the Lego stuff, and I'll probably still do that just on the side or in my spare time. But
for sure. Very cool. Okay. That's really neat. That was actually a pretty good point of context to have picked because it helps understanding, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
But super cool you're doing this at 18. I didn't have anything rolling that good at all. I still don't. But
yeah, so I guess it really started in grade 10. I don't know what the U.S. equivalent is because I know you guys don't say grade. You have like junior, sophomore, and like senior year.
They're all the same. They're both the same. Sophomore's 10th. No, sophomore's 9th, and then...
Okay.
No. Sophomore's 10th. Freshman's 9th. I only go by the grades, so 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started in 10th grade with the small cars, but I only did like probably a couple a month.
Yeah.
And it really just started picking up towards the end.
Okay. That's cool. I think what I was doing in high school was I was shooting senior portraits at that point.
That's still pretty cool.
Man, that was like, if there was anything you could do in high school to make money, or at least find business, be a senior and also shoot senior portraits because people
everybody
will come
wants
to
photos.
you. Yeah, people are just looking. It was
Yeah.
the market to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I still do a little bit of it, but I've branched away from portrait work. I really found that automotive is just something that clicks way better with me. So that's cool though. Different note. So 240 background.
Yeah.
Volvo stuff. So you have two 240s.
I
right?
think in total at our house we have 7 Volvos. Most
Definitely
of which
more than
being
me.
my dad. Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly
So-
740s. He was really into 740s
Okay.
back in 2010. He started getting a lot of them. So we have like a red 740 sedan, silver
Okay.
wagon. Both of those are turbo. And then my car's a black turbo sedan. And then
Yeah.
there's a naturally aspirated manual 740 wagon in the gold color.
Yeah.
And the 240 diesel, just got that in like December of 2019, right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
An 850 and an XE70. I think that covers everything.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. You guys have a
Yeah.
bit more. We have a lot of
Yeah.
Firebirds at my house. That's what my dad's into. I have mine, and that's kind of what started my car bug.
Right.
Is that how you started? Or how did you start? What got you into cars?
Just being around them with my dad, because with the Volvos, nothing really ever goes wrong with them, catastrophic wise, but they always just require a bit of maintenance and fiddling here and there, so
Yeah.
helping out with that sort of stuff got me more interested in them.
Yeah.
It all started with my grandma in the 80s. She got a 240 wagon,
Mm-hmm.
and then that eventually became one of my dad's cars. She passed it on to him.
Okay.
So then he got into Volvos, now I'm into Volvos, so third generation Volvo
That's pretty
enthusiast.
cool.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I was talking to Douglas, and he was saying that his dad was really into these Volvos, and that's kind of what got his bug and his bug for Volvos.
Yeah, stuck with it now.
Yeah, that's really cool though. So you were saying with one of your 240s that you drive is your diesel one.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It's a terrible car, but it's great. We got it for 1,000 Canadian dollars from some, like, not really a field, but like a gravel parking lot. It was like semi-abandoned. It wouldn't start. So the guy had on Craigslist, he said, just make me an offer. So we gave him this offer thinking that we wouldn't get it. Because diesel Volvos, as silly as they are, they're like really, really hard to come by, especially
I have
here.
not found one yet.
No. So naturally aspirated, 82 horsepower when new diesel. It's pretty terrible, but it was just a fun car to have because we hadn't really had any diesel cars at that point. We just thought, like, why not? It'd be kind of funny.
Oh, absolutely.
So we took the fuse out of the brake lights because it was the same amp fuse we needed for the ignition system. So then we drove it home. We were following it, so we had lights or whatever for the tail lights.
Yeah.
And somebody had cut the exhaust off right underneath the shifter, so all the fumes would come into the cabin. So I almost like passed out by the time we got home. That was the first thing we did. So we put a side exhaust on it just to make it simple. So it's straight piped. It sounds heinous. It's really, really slow. And it's really rusty. So it's kind of like a terrible car, but a fun car. Everyone that gets a ride in it laughs their head off. So
you say it was
it's worth it
automatic
for the
or
smiles.
standard?
It's standard.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would make it way better.
Yeah, it's really funny. I'll send you some
Rolling
videos later.
Okay, you'll definitely have to do that.
If you want to see it, it's actually on Drifts and Lifts like YouTube channel. He reviewed it like in 2018 or something. Some friend had it. We have no idea how many owners it's had.
Really?
The odometer.
So it's just exchanged hands a lot.
Yeah, who knows?
That's
it doesn't
cool.
have like a kilometer, like the odometer's broken. So
Most
it just
of
has
them
like this
are.
white strip. So nobody knows how far it's been or how many people have driven it. It's kind of, it's a disaster.
Yeah, that's funny. Honestly, like clapped out cars like that can still be like such a blast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, my car is really ratty, believe it or not, from the photos. It's the interior is completely thrashed. I have to replace it. There's a little bit of rust on it, but it came from down south, but it came up in like 2000, and unfortunately, it got a little bit more of New York weather. I don't know if you guys have salt, but we have a shit ton of it.
Yeah, we have like brine on the roads, which is sort of similar.
Yep, we have salt and brine, I'm quite sure. I think it's a little bit worse, the brine. It's supposed to even
for sure.
quicker.
Yeah, all the other cars, the 740s have really good like undercoating and like I don't know what they do with treat the metal, but they're not in bad shape. But this like diesel is terrible. Like the entire like underside of the car is rusted away. The two tired like butt cheek things in the back that hold the spares, they're gone.
I have one that's missing.
Yeah, it's bad. My plan is to eventually take the motor and transmission and put it into like a nicer car.
Yeah.
Because as silly as it is, the power plant is really fun and different.
Stout.
Just because it's so slow.
Yeah.
But it's a fun experience. So I want to kind of like preserve that, but then have it in a nicer shell.
My friend, when he went off to college, when he was down in Alfred, one of his friends down there had a few cars, and one of the cars that he had was like an 82 Jetta. A sedan.
Right.
With a diesel in it. Or it might have been a Rabbit. I think it was technically considered a Rabbit. I think they're kind of one and the same. I'm not super familiar. Anyway, he was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, it's so cool. It's in the purple, like the midnight purple, like a skyline, and it's lowered on rims. I'm like...
Uh-oh.
So the one day he was going to come up for the weekend, and he went and got gas in his truck, and there was water at the bottom of the pump, so it kind of toasted his fuel injection system.
Oh, no.
So he had to borrow a car to get back, and that was the car he came home with. Pulls in my driveway with his clapped out Jetta.
Oh my god.
It's static for the suspension, so it's not like you're going over bumps.
Everything.
Not quite dragging, but like to the point where any kind of bump, you're probably going to have just like a little bit of buffer until you see the bottom of the oil pan.
Right.
But somebody had turned up the pump on that thing, so that thing dumped, and I mean like dumped smoke.
Oh no.
That thing was the slowest car in the world, but holy crap, was it so much fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that counts. Until you get like a vehicle inspection ticket and then down from there. But we've been lucky so far.
Mm-hmm. We were going down this road, this one back road, because I live in the country, on the way back to my house. And my one friend has like a Ford F-150, is clapped out 2006 or so with a really bad cam phaser 5.4s.
Okay.
If you're familiar with those. And we're kind of getting on it, it's kind of like a walking pace because the car's not fast. It's a non-turbo diesel with a 5-speed. And he goes flying past us. And like the whole entire time we're going, that thing is dumping smoke behind. It's a huge cloud. And then he passes us with the truck because anything's going to pass us. And that thing's making the worst noises in the world.
Oh,
no.
no.
It was terrible. It was just like a random ruckus coming from the exhaust. It didn't even sound like a truck. It was the strangest thing. You'd have to be there just to fully experience how poor it was. It was freaking hilarious.
Oh man.
But
the engine sound that comes from the 240 diesels, like if you have the hood open and you're away from the exhaust, it makes like crazy rattling sounds. Just because, I don't know, maybe the high compression or something. I've got a friend who has one, and he doesn't have a straight-up exhaust, so it's much quieter on the exhaust. But the engine noise is still there, and it's much more highlighted, and it's just, I don't know. Sounds like it's going to blow up all the time.
Yeah, that's funny. Back in the day, there was this video on YouTube. I'm sure it's still there. I know it's still there. It was a Volvo wagon with a diesel in it. And they have a smokestack coming straight off the turbo through the hood.
Yeah.
Holy cow, is that like such a cool car.
Yeah, it's funny.
Weird, but there's so many weird ways that you can go with a Volvo. Honestly, they fit like most every facet in some weird way or another. It's strange.
Yeah, Volvo owners are definitely interesting people.
There's a huge array of them.
Yeah.
But, all right, so tell me, what would your dream cars be? They could be practical or not practical.
It sounds
or you could have separate
dumb,
lists.
But the 740 turbo that I have is like kind of my affordable dream car.
Mm-hmm.
I really want a manual swap. It's automatic at the moment, which isn't the end of the world. It's still very fun, but I like what the standard sort of gives you. But as far as like a more expensive dream car, I've always kind of wanted an Audi R8, which is kind of a stereotypical silly dream car. But the 2014 ones, I think, before they facelifted it, like the original first gen, I guess you could call it, some of those came with standard as well. they're really good cars. Just the
I've seen
V10
that.
sound, seeing it
Yeah.
in Iron Man, and then a few YouTubers that I watched like growing up 5 or 6 years ago, they had one.
They
So
They made those as a V8 and a V10, right?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, those are cool. The
Yeah.
V10 would obviously be the cooler one of the two. It's something about like 10s and 5-cylinder configurations that just sounds so cool.
yeah, there's just sort of like harmony of them. My grandma currently has an 850, which she got after the 240, and I was in it about a week ago. I haven't been in it for, I don't know, a few years. So my newfound appreciation for cars, not that I didn't like them before, but my interest in cars has like skyrocketed since then. Hearing it, driving, it was just incredible. Just the sound.
Yeah.
That 5th cylinder, I don't know, something about it.
They sound completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some videos about the 850Rs and whatnot. There's just one person that just just bashes around on his 850R.
Right.
You can just, the way that the thing comes on the boost and the way that it sounds is just amazing. It's glorious. However, I've only heard a lot of things about the white blocks that are kind of frustrating in terms of like maintenance and.
Yeah, our white block 850 is currently in the garage because it blew up. We don't know what exactly. We're very like cautious because with older cars, you got to sort of pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
With like sounds and whatnot.
For sure.
Quirks.
Absolutely.
So we always, just as a habit, keep an eye on the temperature gauges in all the cars. Just
That's
to
never
sort of make
going
sure.
to disappoint you.
Yeah. The 850, the temperature gauge never went up, and all of a sudden there's like smoke coming out the hood, like enough that we thought it was on fire. I wasn't there, but my dad was, and he told me the story a couple of times. So
yeah,
the car's like toast. There was like exhaust gases in the coolant and whatnot, so we think that the head warped and breached the head gasket, and then it just cooked itself. But there's no warning that was going to happen. It was completely fine, and it wasn't.
That stinks.
Yeah. But it's something I know. We'll get it back together and then see if it works.
Yeah.
Since we have so many Volvos, we're probably planning on selling it if it still works. Obviously, telling the people what's happened to it so they don't get scammed. And the value of the cars has increased a lot since we bought it, so hopefully we don't lose any money on it. Not that's the end of the world.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Or you could try swap a red block in there, but I feel like that's probably more work.
Yeah, troublesome, then kind of sad.
To swap
the 5-cylinder is kind of what makes it special.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the white block is probably a decent engine if you know them well and you know what to look out for. But I feel like there's a lot of people that aren't willing to learn about them. They're just not as robust as like a red block. Yeah.
We kind of got what we paid for, I guess. It lasted like 3 or 4 months, but it was from somebody who didn't really appreciate it or understand it. So if you buy the right car, owned by the right person, and you know what to do with it, they can be good engines.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'll tell you the story of my car. Like I told you I would tell you.
Yeah.
So, my car came from Oklahoma.
Okay.
So the story, as early as I know it, starts with the second owner. So, we had this a friend around the corner named Mike. He's a farmer, and when he was younger, he went off to college and he went down to Oklahoma from New York. And he met a friend there, and his friend, over time of them talking and rooming together, I'm quite sure, he found that Mike really liked turbo wagons, the turbo Volvo wagons.
Right.
For one reason or another, and he just knew that he really liked them. That was his thing. So they both graduate school, and he comes back up and works. I don't know when he graduated, so I don't know how much time went on between. Probably not super relevant. But in 1999, Mike was going to get married. So he invites his friend from Oklahoma that he went to school with. And doesn't his friend bring up this 1983 Volvo 245 GLT as a wedding gift?
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So he got that in 99, and it sat, I think he had it for until a little bit after 2010.
Okay.
And I think he used it like a nice weather car for a while, and he put it in the garage when he wasn't using it and in the winter. And one of the winters, his friend, who's an electrician plumber out around the corner from me, he asked him if he had a car that he had available because he didn't have a vehicle at the time.
Uh-oh.
So he sold it to him.
and then it's never been the same since.
It has never been the same since.
Dang it.
Well, maybe it's the same car. It just doesn't look quite as
Right.
nice as I'm sure as it did.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of little boogers to it. There's like insulation in the door jamb, like you'd use on like a door jamb for like a house, like that foam
No.
insulation
Yeah.
stuff. Probably for sound deadening or something. There's some little
Interesting.
weird electrical looking things. It's like,
Yeah.
you could tell he cheaped out on stuff.
Yeah. That's too bad. That's
Cool.
crazy. It would have been like, I don't know, almost time capsule like until like 2010. And then that last
Yeah.
span of time really did it in.
Yeah. I mean, the car is really not in bad shape. Unfortunately, I'm storing it outside right now because I don't have anywhere to put it. But it's going to be kind of a ratty car at this point. It is what it is. It's got patina, but I like patina, so I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
It doesn't have a lot of rot. It does have rot, so like I'll tell you how much it has. You might think it's more, but I feel like it's moderate. So there's 2 small holes in the rocker panel on the driver's side.
That's
So
not too bad.
those will have to be replaced at one point. But, you know, for 2 small holes that my friend poked his finger through, they weren't there before. I mean, I'm sure it was soft. I'm sure it still
Yeah.
is soft, but, you know, not whole. And the fact that the rocker's not missing altogether is a pretty good sign.
Not for sure.
It's got a rust hole underneath the driver's seat, unfortunately, but it seems like it's a very common place.
Yep, that's what happened to ours. Like the rear bolts for the seat are like barely into any metal. It's kind of sketchy, but we did a repair, so it's not quite as bad now.
I'm planning on doing that at some point. And the spare wheel well on the driver's side, the whole bottom of it doesn't exist anymore, so I have to add the bump back to it or just get rid of it altogether. But it's not in bad shape. I think the car's only got like 140,000 miles on it. 148.
Okay.
So like
That's
for
not too
Volvo,
bad.
that's not bad at all.
No. It's got
not-
life left in it.
Yeah, it's a non-intercooled car, so it's got like the super direct intakes from the K-Jet straight to the bowl for the intake. Just like Sean's. Sean's is pretty much the exact same as mine.
Right. Does it, like, it won't spike the temperature, but does the temp kind of climb when you get on it a lot because of the turbo?
I haven't driven it a lot. I bought it back in 2018. I bought it from that electrician plumber dude.
Right.
I knew that car was there for like at least 4 years, and I was telling my buddy, I'm like, we should get a 240 to LS swap just to beat around in.
Yeah.
You'll never do it because you always talk about it. And one day I actually did, left a note, and he called me 15 minutes later. Long story short, I ended up buying the car for like $500.
That's great.
And the idea was an LS swap until I saw when I went to pick it up and it had turbo on the grill. I'm like, oh no, this is a factory turbo car. Bittersweet, but stupid, but cool. But it's pretty much the same spec as Sean's, except for his is a standard.
Yeah.
And does it run warm? I'm assuming it probably would run a little bit warmer. Yeah. I haven't driven it very much to know, and I think that it was kind of low on coolant when I've driven it.
Right.
Never overheated, never was
There's
that
this video
hot.
on the internet, somebody drained the coolant and the oil out of the red block, and they ran it for like half an hour, and it just wouldn't die. So who knows how much wear that did in that time, but it was pretty impressive.
Oh, for sure.
But sad.
Usually
I think the car was in an accident, so it's just going to the scrapper.
Yeah. Oh, usually the engines don't last that long. It's like, what, a minute or so? I feel like it'd be very short. If you don't have oil going to it, that's catastrophe right there.
Yep.
It's going to overheat and just weld itself shut.
Yep.
But we took it around the block without plates or anything on it once, and it got a little warm. Like, you could see steam coming out of the reservoir, but there wasn't fluid inside of there, so I'm guessing it was just kind of low. Yeah. The guy I bought it off of said he replaced the cooling system on it previously, pretty recent. I'm assuming it has a small leak because it must have leaked some kind of fluid out, if I had to guess. But I'm sure that the intake temperatures are probably a bit warmer than an intercooled model.
I just know it's a problem on the turbo diesel models. A lot of them didn't come with intercoolers, and if you drive those for long enough and get on it too much, it has some overheating problems.
Yeah.
But it's easy to avoid.
It seems like it. What I've learned about turbo stuff, because I've never had a turbo anything before until that.
Right.
And it's a little bit taboo to me because I don't understand it. So with a lot of people who modify like S chassis stuff, I have a friend Ken, and he has a turbo timer on his car, I had no idea what it was. I asked him about it. He's like, oh, it's super basic. It just, when you turn the car off, it makes it run for like an extra like 30 seconds or a minute so that the temperatures, so the oil can keep flushing through the turbo and just kind of progressively cool it down, as opposed to just letting the hot oil just bake inside of it.
Yeah.
But I would not be opposed to putting an intercooler on it. It also would wake it up too. I think it'd make it an extra 25 horsepower or something like that, I think.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah. So, very cool.
Oh, Volvos. Keeps me busy. Both in Lego form and real life. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
But I'm trying to think of any other questions I might have. You have any questions for me? I've talked a lot, unfortunately.
Not really. You're super interesting, though, with all the creative stuff they're doing. I really respect the fact that you're doing what you do.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. I think it's super cool that you're doing all your brick stuff, too.
Thank you.
I couldn't ever see myself doing that.
Yeah.
My cars have always been like just a brick, literal brick, not the same.
Right.
Yours.
It's definitely a bit of a labor of love, but it's really cool to have a vision or something that you want and then being able to make it a reality. Because I don't know if Lego's ever going to make a 240, but since they don't, and I really want one, I figured, hey, why not try and do it myself?
Hey, I mean,
and I think it fits in well with the other cars. This angle isn't the greatest.
Oh, for sure. It doesn't look out of place at all. Honestly, it looks like it's in the same part as the pre-made sets anyway.
Yeah, this 911 is what inspired me to make the big one, because I got all these after the Porsche, which I got that in August or so. Yeah. And it has working steering like the Volvo does here. And
that's cool.
I hadn't done a big one at that point. I thought if I made a 240 in that scale with that amount of detail, that it would be something really cool. So it took me a while.
You were right.
But, yeah.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
So, I talked to Douglas. It'd be kind of cool to make it out to, Canada at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe
it's a bit chaotic here at the moment, but things should smooth out. The entire world's in a bit of a weird spot.
Yeah, it is. I need to make a trip out of the U.S. at some point. I need to make a trip towards the West Coast a little bit.
Right.
I have a lot of friends in a lot of places. It'd be kind of cool to visit a lot of people.
That's cool.
It'd be a cool one to fly up to and just hang out. Maybe one day.
Well, if you ever make your way out here, just let me know. You're welcome to come and see the Lego stuff in person.
Yeah. I have a friend in Toronto too, so like I have a few Canadian friends now.
Yeah.
I can't say I've had a lot of those in the past.
I've got a lot of US friends because I don't have like an exact number, but I'd say around 85 to 90% of the sales I make are from people in the US. Mm-hmm. So that's where I've made most of my connections and whatnot.
For sure.
Lots from Europe too, though. Some stuff. Yeah. It's always cool when something goes to Sweden because that's kind of where Volvo started and whatnot.
Yeah, that's really cool. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of. You said the majority is in the U.S. So how many global sales? Is it a pretty decent number that go out of the country then? Aside,
I'd say in
outside
total,
of our continent.
Yeah. Maybe like 40 or 50.
That's impressive.
A lot of them are smaller cars. I've sent a few of the bigger ones out, which is extra cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever sold anything overseas, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
What I think is really cool too is when you sell stuff or I sell prints and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like when I sell photos and prints, seeing it go somewhere else, it's so cool. It's like a little bit of me's here.
I know. Like all these things I've put together currently sitting on people's shelves or desks.
Yeah. That's so cool. It's so cool to be able to share your stuff with people. Sure. Honestly, Instagram's been such a cool tool that for every reason I've never really utilized that much. Mm-hmm. There's so much.
It's a bit frustrating at times with the algorithm and trying to work around that, and
I don't even know how to.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Because you'll have something that you're really proud of and it won't do well, and then something that you just sort of put together in a couple of minutes, and then it just works. Crazy. I took a video. I don't know if you've seen it, like a real video of me opening the hood of Sean's Lego Volvo. It has like 1.7 million views. But it took me. I took it with my phone. I picked up my phone, like, oh, this would be cool for a video, and I opened it, put it the music. It took me like 5 minutes. And it's probably like the most popular thing that I ever do.
That's funny how it works, because I did see that. I did notice that. I'm like, that's so cool.
It wasn't even done at that point. I just put like a red block from a different car in there just so I could take the video. Yeah. It's not even the same engine or like the finished engine bay. Mm-hmm. But
it's funny.
Oh well.
Instagram apparently doesn't know better. It doesn't care either.
No. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it, but it's just strange.
I feel maybe this is just a theory, or this is definitely a theory. It might be true. I don't know. So with Reels, it seems like Instagram does much better with Reels when it comes time that they're assembled on the phone. Does that seem like a real thing?
I'd
Like,
say so, potentially.
I'll put Reels together on Premiere. I'll spend 3 hours on a reel, and
Yeah.
I get like 14 likes out of it, and like the coverage of it's like maybe 100. It's like, okay, I did something wrong here.
Yeah.
And then
Seems almost like the less effort you put into them, the better it is. They just want like something that feels, I guess, a bit more personal. I also took a video of
organic.
me like panning down a Volvo semi-truck with a trailer full of cars, and it did really well, which also took me no time. So, I don't know.
I guess the lack of like quality on my stuff would probably help me in some way.
Maybe. I feel like also just making a really short, concise video is what they're looking for. Because I guess people's attention spans are ever decreasing. They just
Yeah,
want to be able to flip through. So if it's something that's like immediate, then it does well. I don't
that
know.
makes a lot of sense. I definitely think you're right.
Hmm.
Man, what a world we live in that we
It's
have
pretty
to worry
weird.
about stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I should do more real stuff, but you know, I've got a lot of projects I have to like start or like finish.
Hmm.
I'm trying to work on online presence and whatnot, and I hope this helps you. The idea is that it can
Yeah,
help
for
both
sure.
parties for sure.
I'm pretty
And
excited.
I think it's kind of cool. I was thinking about this yesterday. Is if I kind of interview people from Instagram, it'd be kind of cool because there's so many people that follow creators on there
Hmm.
that might be interested to know like the backstory and know more about it,
Yeah,
like
for
more
sure.
personal. Because I know for like when I start following somebody, I know nothing about them,
Hmm.
but I think their stuff's so cool, and I feel like having that long-term content might be a cool value to add to it.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like you probably wouldn't
100%.
push like super high numbers because of it, but for your really strong audience, you know, the people who are like really personal, and honestly the people that would mean the most to you would likely be interested in that because, you know, they
Yeah.
actually care.
Once you're done with this and you post on YouTube, let me know because I will put the link in the like link tree that I have in my description. Then I can
Yeah.
direct people there. Because a lot of people ask me questions and it takes quite a bit of time. Not that I don't mind talking to people.
Yeah,
I love talking
to
to
explain
people,
it.
but this will give them a bigger, broader idea than I could ever tell them.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like it's a cool idea. I mean, you're welcome to do it if you feel like it too. It's not really an entirely original idea, but you know, the fact that we're just using phones for audio, it's like
Yeah.
anybody could do it.
Yep, for sure.
I just have toyed with the idea of making a podcast for a while, and I'm like, you know what? I have to figure
try
out.
it out.
Yeah, I'm like, I have to figure out the details, but why sit around forever trying to figure out the details and when's the right time to start? And just,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the more content you put out, the better off you probably are.
Just go head first into it and let everything else work
Yeah.
itself out in the long term.
So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely share that with you, and if you'd be interested in another chat, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always cool just to chat with people, especially. I don't talk to a lot of creative people. I mean, I have creative people around me, but like, you know, it's kind of limited. So
Yep.
it's really cool to talk to people that have their own creative endeavors, and
Yeah, same sort of thought process. It's interesting. how
Yeah.
It's different but similar.
yeah, you can definitely learn a lot from other
Mhm.
people, and it's so cool. And plus, then you create cool relationships and stuff. And I don't
Yeah.
know, I love that about doing this stuff.
Yeah, well,
But-
thank you very much for having me. This has been
Yeah, no
awesome.
problem. I hope I didn't hold you up too long.
No, we're all good.
Awesome. So I think that's going to conclude episode 6 or something.
I couldn't tell you.
I know, something like that. So